that's why I had that breakdown when I came home, because when I saw myself in the mirror with this swollen, different looking face, I was like, why did I even do this? Hello and welcome everyone. Today's video is unlike any other video that I have produced for this channel. Initially I was a little bit apprehensive about filming this video, so much so that I actually tried to film this in March, which, as you can see from the title of this video, was about a month or so after my operation. But I figured that maybe something I have to say will strike a chord with someone who can relate, or someone who possibly needs to undergo the same procedure, so I'm gonna try again. Without further ado, let's get chatting. So on the 25th of February, I underwent a procedure called septoplasty. For those of you who don't know, septoplasty is the reconstruction of your nasal septum and basically opening up your airways so that you can breathe properly if you did have a deviated septum or if you did struggle with sinus and breathing problems. Septoplasty is not rhinoplasty, it's not plastic surgery, it's not your typical nose job or something that you see on Botched. Septoplasty is done completely internally. There is no external cuts or anything that happens from the outside. I literally rolled out of theatre with a swollen nose, 100%, feeling very different, but with no bandages or cast over my nose. The reason I needed septoplasty is because I have been struggling with my breathing from as early on in my life as I can remember. Without telling my whole life story, just for the sake of some background information, when I was 2 or 3 years old, I had an accident at my kindergarten. I was basically running, living my best toddler life, and then fell face first onto the concrete, and that was probably the first time that I had severely impacted my nose. Not to say that that was the last time, unfortunately, because I don't know if I was a reckless or clumsy child, probably both.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
I think it's safe to say that my nose and I have been through a lot together. In 2018, I featured on a YouTube series called The Beauty Project for my talented friend's YouTube channel. You may have heard of her. She's the queen of YouTube, mother of the B word, or Kung. What really inspired me about that YouTube series is it shows that even the people you think have it all together on the outside also have something going on, or something that they are struggling with. We all struggle with something. If it's not a physical insecurity, it might be something else that's going on beneath the surface. So don't be afraid to talk about it, don't be afraid to address it, don't be afraid to ask for help. These should not be taboo subjects in any way whatsoever. If anything, vulnerability is a true strength, and you should feel comfortable in your own skin. In my episode of The Beauty Project, I had spoken a little bit about my journey of self-acceptance with my nose, and I remember saying that, you know, I needed surgery but decided not to go through with it. And at the time, I was not aware of how severely damaged the tissue of my nose was. And the truth is, I needed to have this procedure done years ago. I just kept putting it off and delaying it because I was always so afraid of being botched or looking worse than I already thought I looked at the time. And that's really horrible to say out loud, because it's terrible to be in the kind of mindset where you think and say derogatory things about yourself. The surgery played more of a psychological role in my mind than anything else, because I had gotten to see another specialist a couple years back, and I don't know, it wasn't clicking, you know, something wasn't clicking, and I'm glad I didn't go through with it then, because I think it kind of gave me the time to accept my nose for what it was even before the surgery. The surgery was kind of like taking me outside of that acceptance, comfort zone that I had already reached or was progressing towards. And now my thinking was, oh my goodness, I'm gonna look different, I'm gonna have to readjust again after what has been years of getting to that point, you know? And the thing is, you're not born with insecurities. Insecurities develop gradually over time and are influenced by what you're exposed to, or by sometimes even the comments people make about your physical appearance that impact your self-esteem and self-confidence and the way you perceive yourself, because you think that one or two bad comments is the way that everyone else is going to perceive you. But that's not true. Or at least, you know, the people that do say things, those aren't the right people to be in your life. You know, it's always important to surround yourself with people who don't dismiss your insecurities and don't dismiss your feelings about the things that you are personally struggling with, but instead help you uplift yourself and help you reach a point where you can see yourself with as much love as they see you. Does that make sense? I really hope so. When I first saw myself in the mirror after my surgery, I was shook. I was like, who is she? Like, what? But I remember when I got home, I had a full mental breakdown about it, because I had looked myself in the mirror and I'm like, my nose literally looks like a potato, my face is swollen, my mouth is hurting. Why is my mouth hurting? Isn't my nose supposed to be hurting? Anyway, so I was immediately regretting even doing this. And I mean, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe this was a mistake. I don't like the way I look right now. Maybe I would have been better off without the surgery. And how could I have been better off without the surgery when my quality of life was literally at a point where if I had left the house accidentally leaving my nasal spray behind, I would have instant anxiety because I was so dependent on that to breathe, you know? I was so self-conscious about the way I was breathing, you know, whether I was breathing too loudly. It wasn't healthy, and my mom literally had to sit me down and be like, Maja, you just got back home from your surgery. Like, you need to give yourself time to heal. You need to give your body the time to process what has just happened to it. I was being so incredibly hard on myself, and I just needed to allow myself to look like so that I could feel and look better in the weeks and months to come. And since my surgery, I have not had to use nasal spray once, which has been the most liberating thing for me as someone who was using it extensively every day, multiple times a day, for the course of several years. The point I'm trying to make with that is the same way that your insecurities develop over time, overcoming them is also a gradual process. It's a matter of healing. And I think that is what self-love means to me. It's a constant practice. It's something that you have to do every day. It's something that you consciously have to work towards. Our minds kind of need to grow with the external. The internal needs to match the external and vice versa. I'm really surrounded by too many plants, and everything I talk about now is rooted in plant metaphors. If you are considering a procedure such as septoplasty or plastic surgery, or anything that is going to make you look or feel different about something that you are trying to fix about yourself that you didn't necessarily love before, if you want to change that, that's okay. As long as you're changing for the right reasons, as long as you're not being pressured to change, as long as you're not surrounded by people who are telling you to change. As I said, you need to surround yourself with people who uplift you and can reassure you that you are beautiful just the way you are and that there's nothing wrong with you. But if this is going to make you feel better, if this is going to improve your quality of life, if this is going to improve the way you think about yourself, the way you see yourself, then it's okay, just as long as you have the right intentions and that it doesn't come from a place of comparison or wanting to look like somebody else or doing it because you feel pressured to do it. Do it for yourself. It's not like that Amy Schumer I Feel Pretty movie. She basically doesn't really love herself, and then one day she goes on the cycling class, she falls off the bicycle thingy, she has a concussion, and when she regains consciousness and looks at herself in the mirror, she's like,
That's me! That's me! Oh my god, you see this?
Yes?
I'm beautiful!
that is obviously an amazing way to feel about yourself, but it doesn't work like that in reality, you know. Just because you have underwent this procedure and have fixed what you didn't like, just because it's fixed or improved or addressed on the outside, you need to address it on the inside before it's this full circle, what does Jonathan from Queer Eye say, gorgeous acceptance moment. I think I've covered everything. Tag? I'm literally filming. Bye. So to those of you who have trouble breathing, who have sinus problems, I would seriously recommend that you go see a specialist so that they can address what needs to be done that'll best suit you, so that you can improve your quality of life as well. Don't be afraid. I know this is coming from somebody who has been afraid for such a long time, but it is a really freeing experience, and I know that septoplasty isn't the craziest like procedure ever, but it's come from years of hyperfixation on something that I was unhappy about, and I'm a lot happier now. If you've reached the end of this video, thank you so much for listening and allowing me to share my story with you. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.